Oh, um, hey, hey, hi. Well, hello, friends.
I want the perimeter
Welcome to
secured and the
Play.
gates
Wow,
manned by 2 guards
this
at
is
all
me.
times.
This
No
guy
one
wants
gets in,
perimeter secure.
no
Alright,
one gets
so,
out.
hey, what's going on? Um, we're gonna play the Worgen Mage today. Are we a mage? Oh, we are a mage. Yeah, we're gonna play the Worgen Mage today because, I don't know. Something about Worgens and mages looks absolutely stupid, so I decided that's exactly what I want. Uh, I think this is the one character. No, I think I did it for the warrior too. But, you know, I'll have to describe that at a later day. But I created a very, very small backstory for him, which is basically just, you know, the fact that he was a very smart and knowledgeable human Englishman mage, and then he became a dog person, and now his name is Wolfsworth, the mage. There you go. Here's my backstory. So, I guess today, since BlizzCon's tomorrow, we'll talk about what I want from BlizzCon. Well, I'd like a new WoW expansion, but I would also like them to
Get gabbing or get going.
I'd like them to add a little more to this one, maybe. Maybe announce like what's gonna be in like 7.4 would be kind of sweet, because we already know what happens at the end of, I don't even remember what that raid's called, Antorus or whatever it is. But I think that we need one more little tidbit. You know, I guess that might be like the pre-expansion. It would be 7.4, which I think that everyone's talking about how the expansion, how they're going to be, the expansion's going to be like the Void and all that. I feel like Blizzard's going to do one of their typical, we're not going to do what everyone wants us to do, we're going to go off on our own little tangent for this expansion and probably do the Void, the next expansion, which I think is a little more accurate. It would make a little bit more sense too, because it'd be kind of crazy to go from one absolutely insane world-ending scenario to another super fast. So I don't know what they're gonna do. I just don't think it's the Void. I don't know. I like the Seven Seas idea everyone has, where they're just like, we're gonna do Kul'Daras with Jaina and stuff like that. And then, you know, maybe that expansion will lead into the Void expansion, which would be sweet. Or maybe this one, the next expansion, super focused on the Naga and N'Zoth and shit like that. I forgot to do this. And yeah, so I think that might be what they're gonna do. Is I think they're gonna do like N'Zoth and stuff like that, and then that's going to finish off, I think, the last of the old gods that are left on Azeroth, and then from there I think they'll move on to like, hey man, we're gonna do the Void. The Void's gonna creep in and start to take over, and shit's gonna hit the fan. But other than that, I think it'd be really cool. Somebody mentioned it in a stream that I was watching. If they could make level scaling kind of like they did on the Broken Isles, where a level doesn't matter. You just go wherever you want, whenever you want, except for, of course, the max level zone. But make that, like, everywhere. That would be cool. Or make it, like, in specific areas. Like, say, for here, It doesn't matter if you want to do Stranglethorn Vale. All this is like the same area. I think, you know what, maybe that won't work. I don't know. It would definitely work for, say, Outland. It would be sweet if it was like, dude, you could do it whenever you want. And Draenor, you could do it whenever you want. Northrend, you could do whenever you want. Pandaria, you could do whenever you want. I would like to see more level scaling. Oh, well, I messed that up. What the people said is they would like to see, like, an expansion where it's in a zone, in zones that already exist, and if you are, say, level 111, next expansion, when you're doing the end game with that level content, you do phase to a different zone, technically. So it's like, hey, when I'm leveling, I'm in, let's pick a random zone. I'm in Eastern Plaguelands when I'm leveling 40 to 45, but when I'm 120, I'm assuming the level cap's going to be, I'm doing a level 120 stuff instead, and it phases over to a different zone. Kind of like they did with the Blasted Lands in between Warlord to Draenor. That was kind of cool. But yeah, that'd be something cool to see. I'd like that. I'd like to see... I don't really know much about professions. I don't do professions that much. I feel like it'd be cool if they actually made professions feel interesting. Like, Final Fantasy XIV, as much as I think that game's not very good, it does a lot of the profession things right, where I think they have a whole bunch of professions and you can just do any of them, which I think is great. I think only being able to choose between 2 professions and then having these 4 kind of just throttles you at what you can do. And it'd give you so much replayability if you could just be like, hey man, I'm going to, now that I'm max level, I'm going to max out all of the professions, which would be sweet. But speaking of Final Fantasy XIV, I'm not going to say that I'm going to play it, because I probably won't. But if I do play it, I like the game, I just don't think it's a good game. I always like to think that when it comes to, like, characters, when it comes to skills, they do the class system right, which I think is great. I think if WoW had the Final Fantasy XIV class system and profession system, which is basically the same thing in that game, where you create a character. That character can be whatever you want it to be. You want to be a mage, you slap on a wand and you're a mage. I guess there's a few different types of mages in 14, but I'm going to do it for WoW perspective. If you wanted to be a mage, you slap on, let's say, a staff. Shut up! I need a target. You slap on a staff, and you're a mage. You want to be a warlock, you slap on a, like a, I don't know, a wand, warlock wand. They use specific wands, I guess. And now you're a warlock. You do warlock stuff. You want to be a warrior. You slap on a warrior sword. You want to be a rogue. You slap on daggers. I think that'd be so cool, because then you don't really have to worry about making like a bunch of different characters. You just have your one dude, and he's just your guy, which is awesome. The issue I have with Final Fantasy XIV is, even though their class system, I think, is much better than WoW's, where you can do that, I'm not into any. Oh, what's up, dude? Oh, he's gone. I'm not into any of their, like, race picks. Like, the cat people, I don't think are that cool. Their big, tall, Draenei-like guys just look goofy. Their elf people look like even more stuck-up blood elves. There's no race in that game that I like. But other than that, I think it's a relatively okay game. But because of that, I can't get into it because I keep playing it and I'm like, I'd rather be playing WoW because I like the races in WoW. The races in WoW are cool. And the races in that are not. But fishing in that game, Blizzard.
My people have suffered so long.
It's the only thing you say for WoW, for all of BlizzCon. Even though you have a gigantic area to be like, what's next in WoW? If you announce literally nothing, but we're adopting a more Final Fantasy XIV style fishing, I will be so happy. Their fishing is so fun. I can sit there for hours just fishing and have a blast. It's great. But, back to BlizzCon. BlizzCon,
We've been walled up
I
for
think,
far too long.
well, Diablo's fucked.
Make it quick.
I don't think anybody's going to be talking about Diablo. Oh no, I'm bitten, whatever. But as far as WoW is concerned, what do I do again? Oh yeah. Shut up. But as far as WoW is concerned, I feel like they're going to announce a new expansion. I'm almost positive. I don't think they could go another year unless they're going to announce an expansion at, say, some other random event like they did Gamescom for Legion. But that event would have to be something absolutely ridiculous, like going to PAX East in March. Because I don't think they've got enough to survive, like, 6 months or 8 months without announcing an expansion. So I think they're going to do an expansion, which would be cool. I hope the PvP system switches over to being gear-based again, because they went way in the wrong direction with that. Like, I get that what they were trying to do, but I think they went way too far with it, if you know what I mean. I don't like the idea of it's all dependent on item level, less dependent on, like, the kind of gear you have. It would, like, if you do nothing but PvP, you should be rewarded against somebody who does nothing but PvE when you're doing PvP, and vice versa. Yeah, man, come on up. So, that's what I think. I hope they'll do that, but yeah. And Mythic Dungeons, I think they're totally on the right track with that. I think they can just expand more on, like, the different affixes, shit like that. And they're definitely, with how many views the stream of the Mythic Dungeon Invitational got, I think they're definitely going to start taking it seriously, because that was one hell of a thing. And it was pretty fun to watch too. And the casters, they did well. There were so many puns, and I love puns. And it was a good time. So Mythic Dungeons will be cool. I think raids, I don't really raid much to know what the raid was like. But raids, I feel like they need to work on making raids more interesting. I don't, like, know many people who care a bunch about raiding, other than, like, raiding is you raid to get the gear and stuff. And then once you're done getting the gear, you up the difficulty so you can get better gear. So then you can be... Well, hello then. Can't freaking camera? Not camera. Well, hello there, Mike. Falling over and shit. But yeah, raiding to me doesn't feel like it's tons of fun. It just feels like it's a grind. It's more of a grind on top of the grind. So, you know, maybe finding new ways of making like raiding like cool, which I guess is hard when you're using the same engine you've used for so long. But it's not impossible. You just you know you gotta get creative. Which, you know, it's not easy to be creative. But it's not hard to be creative either. You know what I mean? Like, it takes some work.
What can I do for you?
But being creative is definitely doable. And I think if they can definitely find crazy cool new ways to do raids. And I would definitely enjoy that. And I might actually think about raiding more if they became interesting, because it takes up a large portion of your time to try and do a raid. Especially trying to do a raid that's not LFR. So, oh shit. If they make it like super interesting and they make it really rewarding to actually do the raid, as opposed to just doing the LFR when the wing comes out, then that'd be great, you know, to me. You know, something like the what was that boss? Tortoise? Something like that. Oh yeah, Morgan's attacking. Oh hey, look! Whoa! They're attacking the church! Oh no, everybody's dying! Oh, he's a wolf! He's howling! Oh man. What's going on? Here's this guy, he's walking. Yeah. Uh-oh. He's walking to the cage. What's in the cage, man? Oh, it's you. Look at what you become, man. You're just a crazy wolf man. Oh man. Oh, come on. Here, I'm gonna skip the rest of this. Let's just put that there. Alright. Anyway, as I was saying, that Tortoise boss. See, this just looks hilarious to me. I love it. But the Tortoise boss, right before the boss, was these little, like, circles. They were like little water spouts. But if you bounced off of them, you got a buff. And each time you bounced off one, you got another stack of that buff. And it was pointless, kind of. But if you did it, I want to say 50 times, and you got a stack of 50, which is a slight challenge. It took some doing. But if you did it, you got this. Where is it? It's in my favorites. I know it is. This. The Shadow Pan Geyser Gun. Which, here, let me out. Which, you just, come on, man. You basically just get a water gun, and you can shoot it at people. And it's little toys like that, which they have the toy system, which would be perfect for that. Which you get little collectible items, and you get little things that you can only get if you're doing the raid in non-LFR difficulty. Which would be really cool. Like, say the boss drops. Like, you know, again, pet battle system. Increase the level cap of that shit. It aggravates me that it stops at 25. You've had this expansion, you've had the Draenor expansion, and now you've had Legion, where every pet battle area is level 25. Make it level 30. Please. But anyway, you can add, the bosses only drop pets in normal raid. Doesn't drop it in LFR, just normal. And, you know, the harder the difficulty, you know, maybe you get a different color. That would be cool. Like you get a special color, like and then a mythic one. Maybe get some sort of like, let's take a look at a pet, maybe for an example. Yeah, like say this guy. This little guy of mine. You get him. And now he came from Throne of Thunder. Not like the actual raid, but the zone. Let's say he was from the raid. And you get him. And then you did it in a heroic. And he's like slightly different colored. Like the little electricity thing, instead of being blue, it's like a yellow. And then you do it in mythic, and then it's like, oh man, it's orange. That'd be super cool. And you get stuff like that to show how much of a badass you are. But also, it gets people to want to do the actual raid so they can collect cool little pet things. I think it'd be sweet. So do something like that. And, I mean, the class halls were alright this time. All they were really doing was pushing the story forward. They didn't serve a crazy purpose, so you can keep those or you can do away with those. It doesn't really matter. But other than that, I think this expansion was really great. And I'm looking forward to seeing what their like pre-new expansion patch is going to look like, and figuring out what the new expansion is going to be. And next video I make will probably be me talking about the new expansion, if they even come out with one. It'd be really great if they just said, you know what guys, we're not going to do that. We're going to stop at Legion. WoW's done. Dogs and dresses. But anyway. Yep, WoW's done. We're just gonna focus on Overwatch. You know what? Diablo's done too. We're just gonna focus on Overwatch. Overwatch is our new game. If you don't like Overwatch, then you're probably gonna want to move on to a different game. Alright, well, this has been me playing my dog in a dress. Next video will be about the new expansion and what we can maybe expect from that. So, yeah. Until next time, this has been me, and this has been my little pet. I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to hop on this, and I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this.